booties for black girl nerds.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Of course.
Well, I'm going to start with you. I find it fascinating that through this loop, each time Paula has the patience to go through this extraordinary situation with Zoya that she's entangled with. What is it that you think she sees in Zoya that allows her to believe Zoya each time during the loop?
Well, I'm like, logically, if Zoya also has, there's a lot of loops that I think we're missing, where it's like, I think Zoya has the routine down at a certain point. But I think there's like a similar thing that Zoya sees in Paula, that Paula sees in Zoya, which is like drive and like real commitment and zeal and like wanting an effort. Like, it's not fake, you know, like it's real and it's rooted in something important that matters to her. And I think that awakens something. And then, you know, like, no spoilers, but I think when you find out Paula's backstory, I think like the sliver of there even being a chance that she could undo what happened, or even just explore another universe. If you know, if the crazy can be real, then why not? You know, let's explore it. And I might as well explore it with this woman who seems to care.
I mean, it's such a compelling relationship and dynamic between these two characters that we get to go on this journey with in this film. And Mary-Louise, for you, Zoya is someone who's lost a lot of faith in herself. And through this loop experience, she gets to know more about herself and the others around her. Do you think that if something like this was a reality for the human experience, that it would have a similar impact like it did with Zoya in this film?
Oh, wow. I'm gonna cry again.
Oh, no.
I would hope so. I would hope so. I think at the same time, what's really beautiful is that she is examining her life. She is examining, you know, her existence and this journey through time with this person. But that throughout that, there's one little thing, is that she realizes, oh, this person is better suited for it than I even. And I've ultimately had more than my share of life. And this person might be, in a way, smart is such a slippery word, because everybody has their avenue of brilliant. I think everybody has their little Mensa something, but I think she realizes this person's more capable than me in this way. And this person should have this that I thought I should have and needed to have. And that she's able to do that. I think, is that what you mean? Because I think that not only is she examining her existence and everything, but seeing it in relation to this other person who she thought at first she just needed, on one sense. On another sense, it's like she's bequeathing this whole thing to her, because she realizes that's the most gracious move she can make as she exits the planet. I think this is the most sacred thing she can do and does do, rather than just, you know, express love to her family and everything, is to hand it over to someone else, which I think only a woman would do.
We're very nurturing people, us women. I agree with that. And I also noticed too in this film how, as these loops continue throughout, that these two characters, these two women, become more tethered together, which I find very, very fascinating. Io, back to you. I really love seeing you navigate these roles that are a bit more dramatic. Even though your comedy is top notch. um, do you have a preference to a specific genre, or does it not really matter when it comes to genre for you as an actor and performer?
Oh, I mean, I started in comedy. I feel like that's like my first love. But I think just getting to play with people who are great is like my other first love, and learn from people and kind of just, I don't know, get to be there. Soak it all up. It's that's my preference. Just keep, yeah, learning and challenging myself. Yeah, I don't know. I guess no, I don't know. Sorry.
It's so
Fell apart there.
interesting.
Started to reflect on myself.
Well, it's funny because Bernardo, I spoke to him in the previous interview, and he was telling me how, you weren't very secure about your capabilities as an actor. And I'm thinking to myself, this girl has won Critics' Choice Awards, Golden Globe Awards, Emmy. But this was before, he told me that it was before you got the awards wins. But it's
Believe it or
amazing
not,
to
they
see
don't help. They actually don't help.
They really
Well, it's amazing seeing your journey, and I love seeing your character in this. And Mary-Louise, back to you. There's so many great moments in this film. I really enjoyed every scene from the beginning to the end. Is there a scene or a moment that still resonates with you long after filming this?
Um, I'm gonna say the last scenes that we shot in this the little tiny um apartment. I think they were just between the two of us, and it was just they were more reflective and I don't know, when they're saying goodbye, and it's difficult with those scenes to make them dramatically interesting, without just giving over to you know, to the feeling that you're having as a person in it. And I so loved working with her, and I was kind of saying goodbye to her too. And I just remember there was one scene we're sitting on the couch, and then I was sitting on the floor, and then I just felt so connected to her. Even at one point she was behind me, and it's so nice to feel that as an actor, and you just don't ever take it for granted, because it doesn't always happen, that there's two people literally working together for one thing.
Mhm.
It's really, really blessing.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Again, this is such a beautiful film and such a beautiful story. And the film leans heavily into issues with losing loved ones. And Io, back to you. Did you find that working on this film was an outlet for dealing with any personal issues that you had with loss?
What is this, a setup? Yes is the short answer. Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I said earlier, it's funny. It's like it felt weirdly like a sort of thing where after, but Bernardo was, I think, like my age when he started writing it and was having all these questions about life and who you are and why you are who you are, and loss, and just like becoming a person and realizing what the kind of like totality of that really means. And I feel even like within the last year, where I think like outwardly there have been like a lot of gains, it's all, it's like cliche, but those are the moments that I think can make you, if you're lucky, more introspective and can sometimes shine a light on like the inverse of that, of like loss, and of yeah, I don't know, just like what actually matters in life. And so, yeah, it's like, it's funny to, not funny, haha, but to, look back at us making this and like feel it in a different way.
Well, I mean, this film had a lot of feelings, and the reason I asked that is because I've talked to in a long time and reach out and just hug my mom and, really just connect with folks that mean a lot to me while they're here. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak to
Sweet.
Black Girl Nerds.
Lovely thing to
I
say.
really
Thank you for
appreciate
saying
it.
that's really sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. You guys did an incredible job with this film.
Oh, thank
You as
you.
well. Thank you. Thank you. Having a good day.
Care. Bye. Awesome. Hi, Bernardo. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to see what you got on that shelf. What do we have here? Is that Spider-Verse on the right or no? What is that on the poster over there?
Oh, the
Oh,
poster
the
guy.
other side on the left.
Oh, Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle, of course. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you for observing my background and thank you for taking the time to speak with me. I really appreciate it. I absolutely love this movie. And when I saw the premise and synopsis for it, I was like, I've got to see this. I've got to cover it. This is such a unique and compelling story. First of all, how did you even get connected to this project?
It all came from me, I guess, in some way. It all starts and all roads lead to me. I wrote it. I I don't know where it came from. I think it came from thinking about getting older, thinking about life and being close to someone that had a terminal illness and passed away, and I was thinking about death, and I was thinking about these sort of serious things and regret stuff that I'd done, or like, am I where I should be, or am I where I want to be even? Um, and I was also thinking about fun sci-fi weird stuff that I'm thinking about all the time, of tiny little men and black holes in people's chests and all that kind of stuff. And the story just seemed to fit together. I was actually on the train in Miami, the Metro Mover, on the Omni Loop, and I'm going around in a circle, and all of a sudden, all these disparate things that have been in my head for years all kind of like came together into one cohesive idea and into this story of Zoya and of Paula, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of, there's a black hole in someone's chest that's getting bigger and bigger, and then this Omni Loop story. And when you see the synopsis right away, it just grabs your attention. And I actually had put it on threads with
Oh,
when it first was released about the film, and people were like, I got to see this movie. This is so fascinating. Um, and it really is good. And one of the characters I found really compelling was Zoya's character, who she goes through this loop and she experiences the same things every week. Through this film, she learns a lot about herself, and it's quite therapeutic for her. Did you think if a phenomenon like this happened in real life that it would have a similar effect on the human condition?
yeah, I do. I mean, I'm weird because I'm the kind of person where like anything that happens in my life is gonna have like a profound effect. I could be waiting in line to get a bagel and all of a sudden I could be hit with an existential crisis, you know? So it sometimes it doesn't even take a black hole in someone's chest. But yeah, I think the idea that was always interesting to me was if you remove some of those barriers to success, right? If you're like, well, say you had for you, Jamie, you've got infinite time and you can fix all your mistakes and you can go back and you can do it all over again. Say you've got all of that and you've had that since you were a kid and your life ends up being pretty good, but not the most incredible thing in the world. There's almost like a heightened feeling of like, did I waste this power? Like, was this power, should this have been for someone else even? Because I didn't do anything with it really. And so I thought that was a really interesting idea to even when everything is removed, all the restrictions, all the limitations, and all that stuff, and we're just left with who we are ourselves, the fear of like, maybe I'm still not good enough then, or what does that mean to be good enough? What does it mean to have used those powers? What does success even mean? I think those things were in my mind, and the story lent itself to all that.
It's certainly a story and a movie where people are going to walk away and have these really dense and, I guess the word you say, existential discussions and conversations around this topic. Because yeah, it makes you think about, like, if was a phenomenon that happened in real life, how would I handle this situation? What would I correct in my life?
Yeah. You
I
take the pills if you have the pills, you're taking them?
it makes me wonder, do I want to do that? Do I want to go through that loop over and over
Yeah.
again? Or am I okay with the mistakes that I've made? Because it's made
Yeah.
me, a more wiser person. So I don't know. Again, it's something I have to think about and just sort of like marinate on that
Yeah.
topic with friends. Um, I read that in the press notes. I read that your grandfather had passed a couple of weeks before you had finished filming the movie. And during the process of filming, was it therapeutic for you working on a film that dealt with themes of loss, or was it more challenging for you?
Yeah, it was actually it was a few weeks right before we premiered actually. So it was actually towards the
Oh
end
wow.
of the process. But he had been sick for a bit, and um I would say like you think that you have some semblance of understanding and some closure on these topics where you're like, yeah, I guess you know, people close to you lose someone and you give them the kind of advice of it's like, well, you say the things and you feel it and you mean it. But then whenever like death or loss hits you, it there's just no making sense of it, honestly. And so that's where I'm at still. This has been a strange year of highs and lows in that sense, and it's still just something that meaningful way. So it's therapeutic to be with other people and to be talking about these things. But I don't know if I necessarily like came out of a place and was like, God, now I've got the wisdom. I would love for that to be the case. But usually it's just, I guess, engaging in the feelings and engaging in the emotions and the question of it all. Maybe that's as the most reassurance I can hope for, I guess.
I mean, there's so many different themes and lessons to be learned in this film. What is the overall lesson that you want audiences to grasp from watching this film?
Um, I don't know. I think whatever people take from it, I'm just happy if people get to watch it and engage with it. And even if they don't watch it or even if they just the idea of it seems interesting to them and they get out of that's fine. I just hope for people to be um more present, more considerate, um, more open. Um, and more okay being sincere. I think sometimes we try very hard to feel like everything is all right and we've got it all under control. And maybe I'm a big softy and a big sort of sentimental kind of cheesy guy, but I don't know. I think it's important to express those things sometimes. And yeah, if at the end of the day you watch this movie and you walk out of it and you say like, oh, I should call my brother or my sister or my father or my mother or my aunt or my uncle or whoever in your life is meaningful to you, then that's that's the best thing ever. Yeah, yeah. You can call them and just say like I saw this movie and I hated it. That's what you're calling about.
No,
Like
I
I
mean,
hated
honestly,
this.
Bernardo, I feel like it has that impact that once you see this film, you're gonna want to hug your family member a little tighter. You're gonna want to call that friend that you haven't talked to in a while. Like it definitely had, at least for me, it had that impact. Because just the the sensibilities of these characters is just so genuine and so rich, and it really stuck with me watching this film. How was it for you with the cast and the crew making this film? Did they find that the story was like an outlet for them with their own personal issues with loss?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has dealt with all these things, and you can't be a person and move through life and not experience loss in some way. I'll let them talk about their own kind of struggles and emotions through it all. But I felt like for Mary-Louise and Io and myself, we all just understood each other on an emotional level, I would say. Like I think we all felt like we were coming from a similar place. And all three of us, I think, have a somewhat humanistic outlook on life and on people. And yeah, so hopefully it means someone to the people that it means something to the people that worked on the movie. Definitely, like that were a lot of the conversations that we were having as we were making the movie. We were talking not just about the crazy sci-fi stuff, but we were also talking about what it means to be a person, and specifically like what it means to be good enough, especially in such a competitive industry. What does it mean? I mean, I remember talking to Io at this point. The first scene of the bear had just come out, and Io was just like, oh, like I hope I can be a good actress, and I hope that people will like me, kind of things. And of course, she's the most famous person in the world now, but everyone has those moments of anxiety and doubt and all that. So that always just felt. Yeah, hopefully. I don't know what the effect of the movie is on other people. I hope it has some effect, but I'm never presumptuous enough to assume that it does.
Well, I can tell you firsthand, it had a profound effect on me. It's very interesting that Aya thinks that she's not a good actress, given that she won a Golden Globe Critics' Choice.
Well, this is before though. This is before all the awards. Now she has to know. No, I'm just kidding. You win awards and you think it'll change something, and then the next day you're still like, but am I still good enough? Am I still pretty enough? Am I still like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it kind of speaks to the characters in this film a little bit about their own kind of insecurities. But yeah, I really love this film. I love the uniqueness of it. I love how extraordinary this story is. And every once in a while you just get a nice gem of a movie that just tells a story from a completely different perspective that you just haven't seen before. And that's always refreshing for me because I see so many movies. So it's good to see something that's different. So Bernardo, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to Black Girl Nerds. Again, I really appreciate the conversation and this beautiful project that you created. It's so
Oh,
wonderful. And I hope more people get to see it.
yeah, I really appreciate that, and I appreciate your support. It's been a great little conversation. So thank you. I'm glad that they enjoyed the movie. It means a lot to me. It really does.
Indeed. Thank you so much.
Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds.